because it's Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to everybody.
Happy Father's Day,
happy
everyone.
Uncle's Day. Everybody that has that's a caretaker for their family. Happy Sunday to you. Just a real quick check-in. I had a wonderful Father's Day with my family, and the inspiration for this video is that we decided that we were gonna head over to Hilo on the other side of the island, and I was gonna try and get some reloading stuff, and maybe on the way we were gonna stop off at the range and kind of have a family day up there. So the thing about our range, and I've talked about it in a number of my YouTube videos on my channel, is that we do have a range, but it's
DIY.
Yeah, it's very much a do-it-yourself. It's more of a zone. It's more of an area that the county, the island of Hawaii, was gracious enough to designate as a shooting range, and it's just an area where you can go shoot legally.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
And from a family standpoint, logistically speaking, I grew up in LA going to the range with my father. There was a designated space where children and family, there were vending machines. It was a pleasant place. This range does not feel that way because you don't know who's going to be there. There is no reception. So in the terrible event, something terrible happens, you're not gonna, I can't get a hold of my family. And so there's all these things that we have to set as a family because of the freedom and the responsibility and the privilege of that designated zone compared to an indoor range or a designated space that has set lanes and everything.
Yeah, even an outdoor range. But biggest thing, like, there's no range safety officer. There's nothing there. There's 2 flags that tell you where the line is, but there's nothing there. The only thing that you need to be able to get to this place is a hunter's license that you get by attending the hunter's education course. It's a 3-day course, whatever, but that's all you need. The DLNR comes up there once in a while and they'll check, but pretty much it's kind of a free-for-all. So to circumvent any type of issues that may be found by having such a situation, I take these guys very early in the morning. You can be there half an hour before sunrise until half an hour after sunset. So I leave this house at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we get up there at 5:30, and there's nobody there, and it's a good time. I'm able to kind of set up whatever. I can run and gun. You can kind of do whatever I like. But most of all, I know it's safe because we're the only ones up there. And in my experience going up there by myself, I have had people, I'm not going to say shoot at me because that's not true, but I have called cold range, and then everyone's like, okay, and then I go down range to change my target or something, and then I hear somebody shooting. And they're at the end of the line down there, and they're just like, oh, I was not shooting at you, but that's super unsafe and completely unexcusable, and you don't shoot while somebody's down the lines. And then there's all kinds of skill levels is what I'm trying to get at, and experience levels.
Can we go back a little bit?
Yeah.
Prior to going to the range with him, all I could see was all the negative points and like how dangerous this type of setup was. When I started going with him to the range just as a family, I can see the benefit as well. I can see how beneficial it is that you are able to set your targets at different distances. I can see, the level of responsibility it takes when there is no security. You really have to take it upon yourself to be safe. And then the flip side is, watching him, my son, watch other people to see how safe or unsafe they are. And it's such a skill set. It's something that you naturally do when you grow up in LA. You walk down the alley, you walk down the street, and you're constantly assessing and gauging your safety level. But this is definitely a whole nother level. And sometimes it's okay. Like sometimes we're set up, people will drive. We instantly start seeing their setup, and instantly Pa'akala and Limana are looking over and just checking out not everything, and that's so valuable, being able to observe in that way. It's the same way that surfers observe in the ocean. But in this case today, we came late. We wanted to have, we wanted to sleep.
We were
in.
mentally compared. I was mentally prepared that, you know what, we're probably not going to shoot because we're going to get there. There's going to be choking people. There's going to be plenty of people. There's going to be no space. I know that people can be, there's any kind of people up there. It's a mixed bag, totally. So there could be very dangerous people. I'm not going to put my family in a situation where, like I have my plates on, they don't have anything on. You know what I mean? So I already knew that we probably weren't, So
plates as in protective gear.
My plate carrier, my ballistic armor and stuff. So I'm gonna I'm gonna tie this into why it's important to. I'm not like putting a plug in for Cold Country Ammo, but just a safety, like get educated.
Okay, and again, me growing up with a father, like as a daughter of a hunter, like this is like range safety protocols is not something that you have to necessarily deal with when you have a non-do-it-yourself range. I didn't know range terminology. I didn't know hot range, cold range until going to the level 1 pistol safety class and, being with him. Like these are not common terms, but when you live in a state where there are no set range and there, your family or your uncle or your cousin or your friends are going into this type of situation where there's a space you set up and you hope people are safe. Everyone, I would argue, should take the level 1 pistol safety class just to have the vocabulary and have the outlook. Like I myself have a one-man rule for him in that if he goes to the range and there's one person only, my request/demand is that he doesn't go there, because there is no reception. Something can happen to him with that one person that we're never going to find potentially, and we're never going to know what happens to him. That's the truth, right? These are risks that we have to take on this island for this, So there's a lot to it. I'm getting all uncomfortable.
And within the gun community, there's like great people, and most of the people at the range I meet, even these people that are being dangerous, are very nice people, but they don't know. They're very ignorant, or they're in a state of complacency, or like with local people, it's like, oh no, I get them. I know my Uncle Kimo, you didn't teach me how. I don't need the class. But with firearms, they're so potent and powerful. You can't be complacent. You can't be like, whatever.
No, but you also can't assume, right? You can't assume Uncle Kimo was versed for that.
No, or your dad or your grandpa, like right? They could have learned incorrectly and then they just pass it down.
Yeah.
Without any malice or bad intent, but that's just the facts. So anyway,
we get there. We roll up. There's two separate areas. There's one, I call it like the pistol. It's just a shorter range, like 60 yards, and then the one further down is more of a rifle range, I call it, and it's not that much of a range. It's like maybe 120, 130 yards. So we go to the first one. We roll up, and there's 5 people, and there's room. And first hit looks good. It looks good. Somebody had just called cold range, or nobody was shooting because there was somebody down range, and he was checking his targets. There's people set up. So I park up my truck, and the first thing that I look at is, okay, so for one, do people have ear pro and eye pro on? That's a very easy, like, are these people on? So I look, everyone has ear pro, everybody has eye pro, good. And I see people picking up their brass. So I was like, oh wow, that's, for a place that's not required to pick up brass, when you see people doing that, generally that's like, these people are very cognizant and they're pretty good. So I was like, oh good. And then I almost got out of the truck. I was like, okay, we're gonna do this, so I totally wanna, like, okay, put on your jacket, whatever. The thing that blew it for me was there's a man downrange. He's walking back. He's changing his target.
He has his target. He's changed it. He's walking back. Mm-hmm. There's somebody sitting at his bench, okay, and he has a rifle. Magazine is inserted in his rifle. This firearm is clear. There's nothing in the bolt, nothing in the magazine, okay. This guy's sitting at his bench like this, rifle pointed down range. He has he's behind his firearm with his finger on the trigger, and he's looking through his optic. And for one, you shouldn't even be near your firearm. When somebody's down the range, you're away from your table, you're not touching your gun at all, okay? I could see maybe having one of these guys in here, a chamber flag. This lets everybody know that, like, it's empty, but you're not by your gun. You have your firearm on your table, the chamber flag is in here, and you're away. And you wait for everybody to come back. You check on everybody. Okay, everybody good? Everybody good? Okay, range is open.
Wait, time out.
Yeah.
But, and I think, see, like being with him and being trained by him, like these are protocols. Like when we first started as a family doing this, my first question was, I need to know your commandments for firearms because I knew my dad's. Black and white, crystal clear. They were not suggestions. They were rules, and he would throw down. I will say that. And so that was my question to him. You know, what are these? It's a do-it-yourself range. There's a guy down the line. There's not even lane markers.
No, there's nothing.
Right? And it's so mind-blowing that some of these people think that what he just talked about, some people think this is like etiquette, right? Like you should. It's good practice.
Yeah.
Whereas this is not good practice. This is what you need to be doing. Like this is not negotiable. Straight up. This is not like, oh, this is like in a perfect situation. No. This is the situation. And that's
always, all the time.
Yeah.
Every time, no matter where you're at. So anyway, okay. So that blew it. Boom. Up. Gone. That one's gone. Okay. So I'm like, okay,
get in
we're
the
out.
car, reverse.
We're out. No, well, we didn't even get in. We just, okay, we're out. It's all right. We might have another chance. There's another range on there. So we take a left turn, drive another like 20 meters, 30 meters. It was 50 meters, longer than that. So we get there and there's less people.
Two cars.
So we roll up and I see a man and he has a SIG, okay, semi-automatic, and he's shooting. This is a clear firearm. Okay, so he's shooting. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so when I roll up, he has his finger on the trigger and he turns to look at the truck. Yeah, he turns to look at the truck and there's his grandma or his mom, somebody was with him, finger on the trigger, okay? He was just shooting and he flags the crap out of his grandma or whatever.
But what do they know? They don't know what flag means.
So flag or muzzle is when you point it at him.
So it's like this.
Yeah. So he's got his firearm here, and he's not being cognizant of where, he's just not aware. But he looks at me like this, and his gun goes like this.
Oh, he's a fucker. He is so concerned with what car is coming up with his fancy gun. What a fucker.
Yeah. What a fucker. Yeah. So anyway, so he's doing this. So
and the woman doesn't even know.
And the lady doesn't even know. She's laughing. She's smiling. Like nobody's cognizant. Nobody knows what just happened.
I'm just as mad as her. I'm just as mad as that for her not to notice that was like she should have. She is just as responsible of calling out her son, nephew, whoever that man is to her, and being like, "What the fuck are you doing? Pay attention to what you put down the firearm. Turn your head." Like. I'm just as, and of course, I mean, so we're still in the vehicle at this point. Like, obviously, we're not going to the range today.
Yeah, so we're still in, and I have my truck kind of at a, I gotta like make a maneuver to leave. So he goes back to shooting, okay? And for those of you folks that are not versed in firearms as much, so when your firearm runs out, okay, it's gonna lock back like this, and then it's empty. So he's shooting, okay? His slide doesn't lock back. He's still got one in here, and I'm watching. He's got one in here. Finger on the trigger, okay? Takes his magazine out, okay? Like he's done. His magazine's empty, but he still has one in here because it hasn't locked back like this. Okay, so he's got this, and then he, finger on the trigger, just continues to just point this all over the place.
Wait, time out. And I think that's why, whether or not you're pro, anti, however you feel about guns, like, I think that's why people need to take the pistol safety class, because like just being able to be trained to see where someone's finger is, like you can see it in movies all the time. Like Lemon and I are watching a movie and he's like, oh, that dude's not being safe. Like you can see that from so far away. And then in terms of people locking back, like I think Lemon is more versed with it now than I am, but that's what I'm looking out for. And when you look at the statistics of how many firearm accidents are because of that one in the chamber, because they just assume, it's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing because of these habits that you massage into, like.
And before we left for the range, I ran into a very dear friend of mine. He took our pistol class, and then he told me that, yeah, I just talked to my good buddy, you know, he's a lot older than me, and I told him, yeah, man, you should really take this pistol class. And he says, no, no, I know that, I know how already, I know all that stuff. And then he said, like, 2 days later he shot himself. He didn't shoot himself, he almost shot himself because of that, because he had one in the chamber, and he just wasn't following the 3 basic rules. Like, always keep your firearm pointing in a safe direction, always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to use it, and then always keep your firearm unloaded until you're ready to use it. And yeah, anyway.
But
Yeah, so no matter how you feel about firearms, like, it's good to get educated on it. Like, you may never use them. You may still be like super, and I'm totally down with that. Like, as an instructor, I'm not super like, oh, a pro Second Amendment, like, it's our right. Like, it is our right, you know. I'm not gonna like shove it in down anybody's throat, but I'm here to be to give knowledge and to help people out, to educate you, and you take that knowledge and use it however you see fit or however you choose to use it. And I just think it's good to be safe. It's good to know, even if you may never shoot one of these things, but to be able, well, I mean, you can probably elaborate on that, like, as somebody who's not super.
No, I'm not super into it. I don't like, but there's lots of reasons why I am forcing myself to get. As an educator, there's a few things that don't fit in education. One, so let's not even talk about firearms. If you're trying to deliver a message, the ego doesn't have room for your message, and also fear doesn't have room for your message. And so I know, for me, my dad raised me on hunting rifles, shotguns. I made the mental error to look at this and associate this with violence in the streets of Los Angeles. I have fear. Having an ego or having lots of fear is not going to make me useful in identifying if someone's hand is on the trigger, if someone is, someone's being safe with it. I need to massage that fear into education. But it goes the same way with someone who's super comfortable and has an ego with it. The man at the range who's more concerned with whose truck is pulling up with a loaded firearm with his mom in front of him waving it around, like, he's obviously, his ego needs to be checked a little bit. And I think that's the frustrating part with all of this, is that, right, we go back and forth all the time, is that the price for these mistakes, whether it's fear, carelessness, or ego, is your life.
Or someone else's, or...
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not even going to it's Father's Day, right? Like, many of us are celebrating fathers in heaven for lots of different reasons. And so if this video helps one person think twice about their relationship with firearms, whether it's fear or ego or nothing, and lean into a small business that is rooted in education, like, this was worth it.
Definitely. So, anyway, there's my Father's Day rant. I was super upset when we were leaving. I was just like, because I know in my mind, for that one guy and then the guy with the rifle, in my mind, that's like representative of one per every 500. There's probably tons of uncles and people out on this island who hunt and stuff, and just, oh, I want hunter, like, or, nothing against hunter. Like, I hunt too. I'm not a hunter. Not yet, maybe later, but, not disrespecting or anything like that. But I do know that with anything, like, people, horses, cars, people just are just very complacent, or they think they know. And with firearms, like, you can't think you know. You can't think you know. You've got to know.
But I think something that I'll add to it is that I have to admit that both of our personalities, we're extremely obsessive. Like, the two of us are meticulous, relentless, flies on shit. Like, if we're going to get into something, this is something that we are doing every single day, 3, 4, 5 times a day, and not even alone. We're going to get feedback from a professional. We're going to ask to get called out on our errors, because that's the type of people we are. And it's infuriating for people to be like, well, that's just how you are. No, I can't, as a mother and as an educator, I cannot be satisfied with that answer, because being called special or the exception or having, a better work ethic than others implies there's a shit ton of other people with lazy ass habits, and people's lives are on the line. Like, I refuse to believe that. And so with technology and with messages like this that can be, distributed throughout the world, like, now more than ever, we need to reassess what we're doing with our time, because if not, it gets taken away one way or another.
Yeah, and I'll close with, and you might disagree with me on this, but no matter how you feel, like I'll just touch back on it. Like, I totally respect, if you're very anti firearms, if you're anti, all this stuff, that doesn't, you should still, in my opinion, get educated on it. Know what you're against, but also just know how to be safe. Again, you may never be behind this, but you might be around it, and just being able to look and see from far, that guy's not being safe.
Including the police.
Including the police. Including the police. Including the police.
The police, yeah.
Yeah, we'll not talk about that, but
Okay.
yeah, knowing how to stay safe. And these by themselves, these are tools, these are objects. They are not dangerous sitting here like this by themselves, but the people make it dangerous. And as much as I firmly believe, like, these can be like a lot of fun, they can bring a family together, you can protect yourself and stuff like that. There's loads and loads, like, as I've been in this, like, as an NRA instructor, and I've gotten to know, like, there are tons of, like, so good people, nice people, very, like, intelligent and considerate, responsible gun owners. But there are a lot of people that own firearms that shouldn't have them, straight up, because they are ignorant, or they're complacent, or they're just careless. And you can't be careless with this.
I think our next video, we should go into how in the world we got to this point. Because it took a lot. I'll just tell you, it took a lot for me to sit in this room with the firearms that he has. It took me a lot to have this conversation with. It took a lot for him to be like, "Do you want to go to the range with me and possibly shoot?" And me say yes. There were a lot of backdoor conversations that we had to throw down a lot. There are many times where he was like, "I'm gonna give this up. I don't want to lose my family over this." And there are many reasons, well thought out reasons, that I have continued to pursue this relationship the way that we have in our family. And if you guys want to know about that, I would love to hear your questions prior us to filming about that. And it's not because, like, my dad was a hunter and I want guns in my life. Absolutely not. We can talk hunting all we want and killing for food. We're not talking about killing for food. And so I would like to bring up that conversation, because I think for a lot of families, as you navigate, we talked about this today, like, he has the opportunity to grow as a male with purpose, with passion, which I would never take away from him. But that opportunity also needs to grow with the family. And that also is a very different type of growth, intentional choice. And like I said, with these firearms, like, you can't try, like, you have to be in sync with one another and develop something. And there isn't a curriculum for that. There aren't, what are the family rules for firearms in every house? It's so different.
Grade 1.
Yeah. So I'm happy to talk to you guys about that, but it hasn't been pleasant and it hasn't been pretty, but it's because this is such a big deal. And unless you're fighting to get rid of the Second Amendment, this is a consideration. The relationship with the Second Amendment for yourself individually is a relationship that you need to have with yourself first, and then proceed accordingly with people you feel comfortable with and who are versed in having a conversation with you on it.
All right. Well, happy Father's Day. Yeah, that was just something that stuck out today, and we were talking all the way back from Hilo about it. And for those of you folks that don't live here, it's about an hour away from where we live, and it's not an hour of mainland driving where you hop on a freeway and you just drive. It's an hour of that
with no reception. Love you guys.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of love, lots of aloha. Thank you. Happy Father's Day, and I will see you folks tomorrow.
You just point at them?
No, I went like this.
That was hella cheesy.
I didn't point.
That was so cheesy.
Did I point?
That's so cheesy.
What should I do?
I don't know, but not that.
Thanks, everyone. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Why do you... That's just as...
You have to end it.
No! You just stop talking. No. You don't have to do
Fade to black.
You don't have to do any of that. You're done.
And then it just ends?
Done. This is why
I don't like videos like that. It's like it's like you're watching it and then it's just like over. It's like a song. It's like when the song is like, and you're like into it, and then like Dre never ends the song. It's always like they have that end where you can rap by yourself. It's always like 45 seconds of like, boom, boom. It's just the beat, you know. You know what I'm saying, right?
You just pause it. You're just done.
For real.
Yes, you don't. We should do a vote here. If you're still on watching
I was gonna cut all
No,
this out.
don't cut this out. If you look, we get into these things all the time. Look, here we go. He's gonna start his fascinating YouTube channel. Look, you people, if you're gonna get into it, please help the man. If you want a little, mic drop action, tell him. You can pick here. Option 1. Point to them. Go ahead.
I'm just saying.
Point. Just option
the
1.
video's going,
No, option
and you
1.
don't go.
No, option
the video's
1.
going.
Do it.
Then it just goes.
Okay,
Done.
so ready? 1, 2, 3. Option 1. Do it. Point. Option 1.
I don't have to
No,
point.
no, you do it.
I did.
No, but
I
let's
concede
let
that
them
I did
try.
point,
Ready?
but
1, 2, 3.
But it doesn't have to
Go.
be point.
Do it. Ready? Go.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Why did I do that?
Option A.
I don't know why I did it.
Ready? Option B. Ready? 1, 2, 3. The thing that you ready. And option B.
Done.
That's not what you did. Option B was this bromance thing.
I was just doing something.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. B. Option. No, come on, don't water it down because
No.
no, you were like boom.
I'm not
you were like
arguing.
1.
I'm just
you were
saying,
like 2, and then you were like
I'm just
3.
saying that something has to be.
No.
It can't just end. You can't just be talking and then it's done.
You say bye. When I told you that I loved you, I was saying bye. I was done.
Bye.
Welcome to our life.